2 Ezra 6:42. Upon the third day, thou didst command that the waters should be gathered in the seventh part of the earth. 6 parts thou dried up and kept them to the intent that of these some being planted of God and tilled might serve thee. There are only 6 continents. The 7th part of the earth is water. 6 continents for man to live on, to plant and till. Call halal, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rukahakwadash, double honors unto the apostles, double honors to the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers that do this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. The would-be judges, the 144,000, the tabernacle of David, who is to be the new government here on earth above all people, above all other nations, to usher in the kingdom of heaven here on earth as it is in heaven, as the Bible says. And the head of that will be the 144,000, 12,000 men from each of the 12 tribes of Israel, under the authority of who the world fraudulently calls JC. His name is Yahushai, and King David will rule on that throne forever again, just as it is written. Right? Salvation is unto the Jews and to the rest of the Israelites. Okay, all the other nations will be their servants. You got the Amalekites, all right, the Israelites running around the earth right now claiming to be Jacob when they're Esau. And one of the biggest lies that they told, okay, was that there were 7 continents. Okay, that part right there that you're looking at on the map is one of the 6 parts of the earth. And Europe sits in Asia. And the rest of the scattered elect got scattered to there as well. All right. So the Israelites were scattered among all people. So they're going to come looking like all people. They got scattered into Africa. So what you're looking at is 2 continents. All right. You're looking at Africa and you're looking at Asia. Asia is in the Bible. Europe isn't. And there's no such thing as a Middle East. The Middle East sits in Western Asia. That was a fraudulent term, all right? Acumen, Akwaf, all right? And shalom to you. This is your brother Malcolm from the GMS branch of Chicago, coming at you another lesson within lessons, all right? I'm not going to stop talking about the tabernacle of David because that is what comes next, all right? That's what happens upon the second coming, upon the destruction of Armageddon. It's not the end of the world. It's the end of Esau, Edom's rulership. And it's the end of all world governments, and the kingdom of heaven will be set up here on earth as it is in heaven. And that is at the door. That prophecy is not far away. That comes after the third woe, and the third woe is at hand. Okay? But what we're going to do is continue to prophesy and show that Esau, Edom, is a liar, complete and total liar. And they're not, and anything that they say, they've lied about everything. All right. And that's why there is no peace. As a matter of fact, Isaiah 48:22. There is no peace, saith Yahweh, unto the wicked. He get from this point on, there's no peace. Right now, Iran is embarrassing America. A smaller, weaker country has completely outwitted, these people with the lie IQs. The lie IQ of America has failed it. All right. The pride of Edomite superiority, of so-called white IQs. Well, the lie IQ has failed them. Okay. Let me take this back.
Are superior than Iran, and yet Iran is giving them a tough fight. In terms of military power, the US-Israel combo is far superior than Iran, and yet Iran is giving them a tough fight. Their hits have cost the US military nearly $2 billion in 6 days. $2 billion. American radar systems have suffered damage, and their military bases have been targeted. One strike in particular has sparked curiosity. Basically, they've taken out America's eyes in the region. Let me show you a satellite image. It shows a structure that looks like a tent. It is surrounded by satellite dishes. The tent has been destroyed. Iran says they've destroyed it. We've not been able to independently verify it, but the fact that they chose to strike this facility is a serious statement of intent. Iran is not trying to match the US dollar for dollar. They can't. But they don't even have to. They can still impose significant costs on the US military, and the first 6 days of this war have made that amply clear. In terms of military power, the US-Israel combo is far superior than Iran, and yet Iran is giving them a tough fight. Their hits have cost...
Let's pause. Read the screen. Iran destroys American eyes in West Asia. It didn't say the Middle East. That is another fabricated lie of Esau Edom, the so-called white man. All right, as he steals and, kills, murders, rapes, robs, colonizes, changes it. Matter of fact, Isaiah 49:11. He loves to go in and change the names of lands to fit his false narrative. This is Isaiah 49:11, and it reads, "Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names." All right? This is what they do, as they rob and steal. As a matter of fact, that brings to mind Nahum 3:1. And this is why he's being exposed. And this is why he's falling. But it says, woe to the Nahum 3:1, woe to the bloody city. It is full of lies and robbery, and the prey departeth not. Okay, every place they go, they rape, rob, murder, and steal. He changed the names, changed the demographics. Okay? And the name of this video is Iran destroys America's eyes in West Asia. It did not say, and this is from First Post. Okay? I was trying to get there it is at the bottom of the screen there. Okay? First Post. It's a good channel to subscribe to. Because then you never hear them say the Middle East. Or they'll correct you and let you know that it's Western Asia. Okay? As a matter of fact, I got a receipt that, 2 receipts. One that I've had from a long time, and one that I got from Apostle Ramlab. But they're here. He sent me this one. It says, and this is from AI, I suppose. But it says the term Middle East for Western Asia was coined in 1902 by American naval strategist Alfred Thayer Mayhem, one of them Israelites, to describe the region between Arabia and India for British imperial interests. It was designed to fill the gap between the Near East, Ottoman Empire, Far East, China, Japan, from the Eurocentric colonial perspective. You see? So it's all about naming something to benefit whiteness, so-called whiteness, the Edomites, to try to control a racial narrative, because they had the intent on putting those, those Amalekites in the land, the Israelites, and then claiming to be the people. And let me find my definition. Just give me a second. A lot of receipts in here. Eurasia. Here we go. Because you see, go back to the map. Europe sits in Asia. They may have painted it yellow, but it's not a separate place. You can walk from Kazakhstan all the way to Portugal. You can walk from Portugal, or you can take a train all the way from Portugal to the Far East regions. Okay? You see? You can go across. You can go right across from Portugal. You can take a train all the way across Siberia, Russia, all the way over here to the Far East. Okay? The Bering Straits are over there somewhere. Okay, it's too small right now. I really can't see it, the lettering. But you can see it's one continent. And we all learned in school that there's 7. Europe is not separate from Asia. Okay? Western Asia, the so-called Middle East, is not separate from Asia. It's one continent. And the so-called white man is a liar. His history books lies. His textbooks lies. Okay, but here's another receipt on the subject matter. And why am I talking about this? Because in Asia is where the Valley of Jehoshaphat, the final prophecies, it plays a big role in that. Okay, but this is Eurasian. This is from the 1850 Oxford Dictionary. Eurasian. Okay. And since the compound Eurasia of or pertaining to Eurasia to Europe and Asia considered as forming in reality one continent. Okay. So they came up with that whole Asian thing and Eurasian thing so that they could play with and make up, all these different racial epithets, all these different racial categories that are not biblical, that don't exist. I was looking at a form yesterday and it said white, not Hispanic, black, not Hispanic. So how you going to have white Hispanic and black Hispanics? You're one or the other, man. You see, they create and there's no such thing as black or white. You're either brown or you're red. White people are really red. Okay? They tried to put that term on the Gadites and the Reubenites. The natives were brown, copper-colored people. Look just like Negroes, when because there was no difference between them. They were the same people. They just been scattered to different places. You'll hear a lot of people trying to argue that fact, A lot of these Adwater just woke up, a day ago. And if I say a day ago, I'm talking about 4 or 5 years ago. Those type guys that, they'll wake up to their Israelite and then think they know it alls. Natives, and the actual natives and the so-called Negroes are the same people. As a matter of fact, they both were given that title Negro. A lot of natives were given the title, falsely, the title Negro in 1682 in Virginia. They were classified as one people. So-called Indians, natives, and so-called African slaves were both labeled as Negroes. So there's a lot of, and that was in 1882 in Virginia. Because in 1881 in Virginia, this is when the so-called white man, within his own law, started labeling himself as white. It's the first time it was found in actual documents. The term was being used before that, but it wasn't put to law until 1881. Okay, and they classified a new portion of humanity. All of a sudden, you had a portion of humanity called white, and then you had a portion of humanity called Negroes, which primarily made up natives of the Americas and so-called African slaves. Anything to hide their Israelite heritage, and Esau's, and anything to hide Esau's heritage. Esau's been hiding his heritage for a long time. And the creating of Europe and the creating of the Middle East was played a significant role in that in these latter days. Okay, but you're gonna find out that Esau Edom is found to be a liar, and he's being brought down and he's being shamed at the same time. Let's go to this video now. And you can see it says the identities of 4 soldiers killed. They were pushing it as if only 4 soldiers are killed, and there's been, who knows, it could be in the thousands now. Okay, from all those military bases that were hit surrounding Western Asia and in the area. Okay, all those different because they moved a lot of the military to hotels, and Russia and China gave up that information to Iran, and Iran targeted it. All right, so it could be in the thousands right now of American civilians, allies, etc. Who knows? But here, let's play this one. It says, watch the moment Iran blinds soldiers in Jordan. 800 officers confirmed killed. All right. So 800. And I'm looking at the images. It looked like some of those are Americans as well. So this is bad. God damn it.
We are diving straight into a story that the corporate media in the West is either downplaying or completely ignoring, because the reality on the ground in Southwest Asia is a disaster for the Pentagon and for Israeli occupation forces. We are looking at a catastrophic failure of American military strategy and a massive humiliation for the Trump administration. Newly analyzed satellite imagery, confirmed by multiple defense officials and Airbus satellite photos, tells the story that Washington does not want you to see.
Iran says it has destroyed a US-operated terminal high-altitude area defense, that is the THAAD system in Jordan.
Iran isn't just firing missiles, it's firing at the things that stop missiles. The heart of America's air defense. A $500 million radar, blackened, cratered, gone.
The United States military has lost one of its most prized and vital pieces of hardware on the battlefield. We are talking about the ANTPY-2 radar, the beating heart of the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense System, or THAAD, which has been completely obliterated at the Muwafaq Salti Air Base in Jordan.
What do you think is the discussion between these, our highest end defense companies and the president this afternoon? What could be done quickly if needs to be?
Well, I think the discussion is how do we plus up our counter drone defenses to, continue to strike down these drones, because clearly some of them are getting through, obviously more than we wanted to. We're seeing more drones penetrate our defenses than I think expected. We should be really honest with ourselves about that. That brings up, frankly, a larger issue that I've been talking about on this network for years. We have our critical installations around the world have been vulnerable. There are people in some of our own government offices who have failed the American people in purchasing failed equipment. That's why we're seeing some of these Shahid drones get through. Even one enemy drone getting through our defenses and striking a U.S. embassy overseas is unacceptable. And Mark, there's something, a cheap $20,000 Shahid forcing us to burn multi-million-dollar interceptors,
Wow.
Starting fires currently at oil facilities in the U.S.
Let that sink in. This isn't just some antenna getting knocked out. The ANTPY-2 is a massive truck-mounted X-band radar system that costs nearly $500 million. There are only a handful of them on the entire planet, because they are supposed to be the absolute cutting edge of missile defense. It is designed to track incoming ballistic missiles from hundreds of miles away, painting a picture for the interceptors to take them down. It is the shield that the U.S. Army uses to protect its assets and its regional proxies, namely the Jordanian regime and the Israeli occupation. And now, satellite images show scattered wreckage, burned scars, and two distinct craters right next to where the radar was parked, suggesting it took multiple hits. The hit was precise, and it was devastating. This wasn't a stray round. This was a calculated surgical strike by Iranian forces to rip the eyes out of the American air defense network in the Levant. Following the launch of over 500 Iranian ballistic missiles and thousands of drones in this phase of the war, retaliation for the joint U.S.-Israeli aggression on Iranian sovereignty, the battlefield has shifted dramatically. The U.S. and Israel thought they could bomb with impunity, hiding behind these expensive defensive systems. Iran just proved that theory wrong in the most expensive way possible. Now, here is why this is strategically devastating for the axis of resistance hunters.
And so, like he said, Iran is actually dominating the war in Western Asia. Okay? They're dominating. And they made America, they have embarrassed America. This is and the Lord is, because of their pride, man, the Lord is bringing them down. Okay, it says, when the wicked are multiplied, Proverbs 29:16, when the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth, but the righteous shall see their fall. And we're joyful watching the defeat of Esau, Edom in Western Asia. We're excited about that. An unjust man, verse 27, Proverbs 29:27. An unjust man is an abomination to the just. And he that is upright in the way of his abomination he that is upright in the way is an abomination to the wicked. So they hate us because we profess the name of the Lord and try to follow the Lord and are basically chanting down their lies, giving them no rest. All right? Because somehow, some way, they're going to try to make us the problem. We have nothing to do with anything that's going on with them. They're failed systems. You know, matter of fact, this is Proverbs 28:28. When the wicked rise, men hide themselves, but when they perish, the righteous increase. All right, so we're looking forward to the perishing of the evil, so that the righteous can increase, and there can finally be righteousness in the world and on the land. And the Lord is coming to bring that at the shame and destruction of Esau, Edom, finding out his lies, exposing them. Esau has been made bare. Okay, this is Deuteronomy 33:29. And it reads, Happy art thou, O Israel, who is like unto thee, O people saved by Yahweh, the shield of thy help, who is thy sword, who is the sword of thy excellency, and thy enemies shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places. So these news reports, a lot of these news reports, they're calling, the area of Western Asia.
We are diving straight into a story that the corporate media in the West is either downplaying or completely ignoring, because the reality on the ground in Southwest Asia is a disaster for the
Southwest Asia. The reality on the ground in Southwest Asia. What have I been saying for years now? The so-called Middle East sits in Southwest Asia. Europe sits in Northwest Asia. Okay? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is a liar. Southwest Asia, Northwest Asia, Far East Asia. There you have it. So with that, I want to give all praises, all honor and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakaha Kwadash, Kwam Yasharala, Abba Babal.